Just how bad does Harley Quinn want to get into the Legion of Dildo? I mean, Doom. I meant to say Legion of Doom. Will she give up the best friend she's ever had? Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be continuing our look at the DC Universe's Harley Quinn animated series, this time episode 8, entitled LOD RSVP. What this episode is about is, it starts in Atlantis at their museum, and King Shark is outside pretending to do nothing, but... of course, you know that this is Harley Quinn and her crew, so he's definitely out there being the lookout. Because all of a sudden, Harley comes busting out being chased by guards. She has stolen the royal jewels, and yes, in the episode, the jokes do come for that. But they're giving chase, and Aquaman shows up. And he says, don't worry, I'll go get him. You chase the other ones that went that way. But once he starts talking, you know that it's not Aquaman. You can definitely tell that it's Clayface, and he's acting. So they get away with it for about 2 minutes when the real Aquaman shows up, and they basically just have to give him back the jewels. That is until the kelp arrives. And that was Poison Ivy's joke, not mine. Poison Ivy shows up, ties up Aquaman with kelp, and everyone's allowed to get away. Now back at base, two stories begin. One of them I'm just going to talk about for a second, because it really was the weaker part of the episode. That is where Dr. Psycho and Cyborgman have to deal with the tentacle monster that Cyborgman knew was underneath the base. Long story short, failed CIA experiment of crossbreeding, and it was it's his sister, which leads to, while it's not the strongest part of the episode, I'll talk about where that part leads to interacting with the other plot, because the other plot's the better part and more important. But Harley gets an invite to come see the Legion of Doom base, the thing she's always wanted. She's getting a lot of attention on the news, especially after they took on Aquaman. But the thing is that the news is saying that the standout star of the crew is Poison Ivy, which Poison Ivy's just like, I'm not even part of the crew. But they go and visit the Legion of Doom, and they get to look around the place. Scarecrow is their guide. But then they run across Lex Luthor, played by Giancarlo Esposito. And by the way, I can't find anywhere who plays Aquaman. So if anyone finds out who plays Aquaman in this episode after I post this, please let me know. I'm just really curious who plays him, because I can find nothing on that right now. So they talk to Lex Luthor, and he's like, I've had my eye on you, Harley. Come back to this party we have later, and maybe you'll be the one named. Because as we found out last week, they were talking about bringing in KG Beast to the Legion of Doom, and of course that made Harley angry. But now Harley's in the running. But Poison Ivy feels something is up. So while everyone else is leaving, she's like, I'll catch up. And she confronts Lex Luthor, let's just say, in a very aggressive way. And he basically admits that they don't want Harley, they want Poison Ivy. I guess they've tried to recruit her like 140, 50 times, but she's always said no. She basically says, I don't want to join this sausage party. But they say, look, we're not going to take Harley without you. So they come back later to this party. Well, first, again, you got the other plot going on at that time too. But they go back to this party. Things are going fine until Aquaman shows up. Aquaman shows up. Of course, he's after Harley and her crew. And he is just beating down bad guys while Lex Luthor just kind of watches and eats hors d'oeuvres. But he tries to confront Harley. Black Manta gets in the way, and he's like, you're here to fight me. And Aquaman's like, it's not all about you. And he takes out Black Manta in like one swipe. But when he takes out Black Manta, he takes out Poison Ivy as well, which of course puts her out of action. And this really pisses Harley off, and she takes down Aquaman. She finds a way to outsmart him. There's this huge fish tank that goes all throughout the Legion of Doom base, and it gets cracked, and she busts it open, and that freaks Aquaman out, and he has to escape and try to save as many as he can. Bane is sitting there smashing fish heads. And by the way, Bane gets a little political. They make a comment about things ruining comedy. He makes a joke about the ocean, and someone boos him. He's like, "Oh, you're ruining," because you remember we got the Dark Knight, the Dark Knight Rises. Bane, he's like, "Oh, you can't say that kind of comedy. It's ruining comedy." It's just, he gets a little political. But then they're going, after that happens, they're going to announce who joins. When they say this person's a machine, well, I guess I missed a part, because Poison Ivy says, look, Harley's good on her own. Look, she took out Aquaman. You need to take her. And Lex Luthor's like, you better join her. She's not getting in. So they're going to announce who wins, or who's being brought in the Legion of Doom. And KG Beast thinks it's him because they say this person's a real machine. And but then before that, or right before they do it, Poison Ivy's like, Harley, let's start our own crew. She's trying to avoid Harley getting hurt because she's afraid that her name's going to be announced. She's like, let's start our own crew. Forget these guys. Let's do our own thing. But Harley's like, no, this is what I always wanted. If I don't get it, I'm going to kill myself, basically. So before, it's about to happen. And then they name Harley, which puts a split in between Harley and Poison Ivy. The whole gist of the episode is their friendship is being broke up, but Harley's getting what she wanted. Even Dr. Psycho's allowed to come back in. He's not allowed to go on missions against female heroes because of his choice words of the "See you next Tuesdays." But he's like, fair enough. So it kind of breaks up their friendship, because she's like, oh, I see you really believed in me, and was kind of sarcastic about it. And Poison Ivy's trying to tell her that no, that's not what's happening here. She was trying to tell her truth, but Harley wasn't having any of it. So they've kind of split up, and it goes back to the other plot where Cyborgman and his sister kind of make up, and they were best friends. And of course, Harley's like, well, maybe I should text Poison Ivy and make up with her. But before that happens, she gets invited back to Legion of Doom. It's like, we need to, we're bringing you in, and so she's gotten what she wants, and she doesn't text Harley. And Lex Luthor says there was another member that insisted on being here, and of course the chair turns around and it's the Joker. Cliffhanger ending. Though they don't call it a to be continued, this is definitely a to be continued episode, because the next episode is going to play off of this one. Well, I really like the Harley Poison Ivy stuff. And by the way, I forgot to mention Kite Man. I'll just leave that if you want to watch it. Kite Man has a few fun parts, and Harley is kind of figuring out that Poison Ivy and him are a thing when he calls her babe in front of Harley. And by the way, no, he's not in the Legion of Doom. He got a job being a caterer, or delivering the hors d'oeuvres. That's how he got in. So the whole thing is about their friendship, and I really like that stuff. Anything involving Harley and Poison Ivy, I liked. The stuff with Cyborgman and his sister and everything, it was a bit of a throwaway, except for how it linked to the end. I thought it took a little bit too much of the episode, but all in all, it was still a decent episode. I really enjoyed. I enjoy the banter between Lake Bell and Kaylee Kyoko with Harley and Poison Ivy. So that stuff was really good, and I really like what they're doing. It's like they're. I was wondering how long it was going to take for her to get in the Legion of Doom. I didn't think it was going to be this soon. I don't watch the previews for the next episode, so I didn't know that this is what it was going to be about. And I like that they let her in this early, but it's costing her a friendship. I mean, of course, you know it's going to go. She leaves the Legion of Doom, and they're probably going to have to face off against them some. But and I'm fine with that. But I like what they're doing with this. So that part of the episode being so strong made up for the Cyborgman part that wasn't so strong. King Shark's pretty funny in this episode. He loves the fish tank in the Legion of Doom, and I love that he points out, he's like, oh, is that a fake castle and a fake diver? And they're like, no, it's a real diver, and you can eat him. And he was so excited. So yeah, it was a pretty fun episode. There's not much more to say about it, but this one definitely dealt with the friendship between Harley and Poison Ivy and what can get in between it. And I'm looking forward to the next episode next week. That's going to be all for this edition of Crossin Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video. If you have anything to say about the DC Universe's Harley Quinn series, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later, puddins.